Good evening and welcome to episode 9 of The Black Feather, a rugby fan cast by the fans for the fans. I'm getting really slick at that now, guys. Right. And I'm
Impressive.
remembering the number of episodes that we're on as well.
Almost
But
a 10.
I know.
No,
What are we going
birthday
to do when
episode
we
next
get to
week.
100?
Yeah.
I think we should
Oh,
have
wait.
tattoos when we get to 100. I'm up for another one. I've got 15. What's another one?
I'm
Do you know what I
absolutely
mean?
clean at them. That'll be my very first one if I did. So do I want to go that far?
You'll be absolutely fine. I fell asleep doing my last one. You just got to zone out. It's all good. Um, but we digress. But I'm up for a tattoo if you two are. And I know a really good tattoo artist as well. So I'm in.
Let's do it.
100.
If
Hold
we
you
get
to
to
it.
100, we'll do it.
Get to 100, we'll do it. So, block one of the URC 2024-25 is done. And it ended for us on quite a good note after Saturday, I think. Um, and we said we wanted something. We said we wanted a performance. We said we wanted something to make us happy. And I'm happy heading out of this block. I don't know about you two. All right, two from six. Not the greatest start, but we're not on the bottom anymore. We're number 12.
Yeah.
You know,
Feeling positive overall. Yeah.
it was a
Off the
tough,
bottom of the table.
yeah, it was a tough first six. It was always
Yeah.
going to be hard to ask.
Yeah.
Um,
Needed that. Oh, there was a stat shared last week comparing the Welsh team's points against the same opposition last season, and we were at zero. No gain, no loss. The same points achieved, yeah, against the opposition last year. So with that win against Edinburgh, I think that'll take us into a net positive 3 points for the same fixtures. Because last year I think they beat us by 2 or 3 points. So yeah, it's positive
yeah.
coming out of
Um,
that
Guaranteed
block.
the playoffs then.
Yeah.
Guaranteed the playoffs then in that case, definitely.
Yeah. 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 What was it? 50 points last year. Does that mean 53 points this year?
53 maybe, yeah. Yeah, like you said, we've had Ulster away, we've had Munster away, Bulls at home, even though they've been rubbish in their other two games in this tour. Those are three tough games that we wouldn't be expecting to get anything from. We've won two out of the other three. The Dragons game will always be an annoying one to have started
Mm.
the season with, but a Welsh derby goes either way, doesn't it? So, yeah, I think Saturday was a desperately needed win and we got one.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was nice to do that at the Brewery Field as well, which is a bit of a fortress for us. I whisper
4 from 4
tentatively.
there, 4 from 4.
Yeah.
What I quite liked was I was on the opposite side to you, Rod,
Mm.
and in the bank of, um, I was actually in Block H, and I kept referring to it as prisoner cell Block H, which Rod, you were probably too young to remember, but Mark will probably remember
Yeah.
the shaking walls in the 80s. So that did somewhat amuse me. But in the next block over to me, there were the players who were out and who weren't playing. And I have to say, they were fantastic. They made so much noise. They were so encouraging. They were chanting about Adam Beard. They were chanting about Dewi. They were chanting about Jack. The pure joy that they showed in that performance showed to me just how much of a team they are. And I know that people have said, oh, perhaps the team are, this, that, because they've got Toby leaving. That's not the team that I saw on Saturday. They were
Mm.
genuinely so vocal. I don't know if you heard it over the other side, but no, all the chanting, that was the players. That
Yeah.
wasn't like everybody else then started joining in, but they were cheerleaders on a level of 50 out of 10. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
lush to see and it was lush to hear because they're obviously so bonded that they were genuinely happy. When people were coming off and being replaced, they were up, they were cheering, they were
Mm.
clapping.
Mm.
It was fab to see. I really love seeing that. There's that put my teeth in, camaraderie there and that band of brothers feeling.
Yeah.
And it was certainly a really nice atmosphere there
So
on
are
Saturday.
these chants ones that you can repeat on the pod? Were they originals or were they things that we've heard before?
They were originals. Some I could probably repeat, some of them I couldn't. Um, but yeah, it was nice. It was
Yeah,
really nice. And it was loud and it was cheerful and it was joyful and it
yeah.
was really
And the
heartening
sun was
to hear.
shining. You wouldn't have seen it
It
over
was
your side,
beautiful.
but everyone on our side was squinting into the sun like that. And behind your stand, you can see there's an old ruined castle on the top of
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
mountainside, and you could see a few people sat up there, just their silhouettes on the top of the
Yeah.
castle walls, looking down, watching the game as well, with the sun glinting behind them. Yeah, it was a stunning day, really nice. It was like a last taste of summer that we didn't get this year.
It's quite a
Yeah.
few Edinburgh fans there as well. Um,
Not
that
many on
day.
our side
Quite a
in the
few over
stand.
by us.
Yeah.
And I think there was quite a few players, family and friends and stuff there as well, which was really, really nice to see. Because to
Yeah.
be fair, Edinburgh to Cardiff on a flight, if you catch it quick enough, it's like cheap as chips.
Mm,
You know, it's a good little bounce down. But
yeah.
Saturday was a good day to be an Ospreys fan. It really
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Definitely. There's been a little bit made about the attendance on Saturday, so to Rod before we sort of recorded. Um, Anything to be worried about, or just that it's a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday? Bridgend we're
You know
playing
what? Didn't
elsewhere.
seem
The
quiet.
show? No.
Didn't seem quiet. I know there was like three and a half thousand there.
Hmm.
Mm.
Sounded louder than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Um,
It
Bridgend
felt
were
a
playing in
bit.
Cardiff, weren't they? So they
Mm,
they wouldn't have had any traveling, any sort of local fans. They would have gone off to
yeah,
watch their team playing in Cardiff. 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Lots of local matches going on as well. So
yeah.
quite respectable, really. I think.
Yeah, I think it was our lowest attendance in the URC era and the third lowest Ospreys attendance ever. So yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, it's a pretty stark statistic, and it is worrying. But it's a trend that we're well familiar with now. That the support is dwindling a bit, but hopefully we've got things coming down the road that will correct that in the new stadium and other things that we don't really need to get into. But no, it did feel a little bit sparse on the stand. Sometimes you can be really packed in there, shoulder to shoulder, but you had
mhm.
plenty of space around you. You know, you could put your pint on the ground while you were eating your chips and not worry that somebody was going to kick it over. So, but the atmosphere was great. You know, we made up for that in noise and the cheering and everything. And I think I could hear the boys, the Ospreys boys over the other side of the stand, coming out of one corner. There was certainly a bit of a ruckus going on there. But yeah, it was a really good day off the field, and a good day on the field as well. Should we get into on-field matters, as it
I've
were?
just remembered the Adam Beard chant. It was he's big, he's tall, he's epic in the mall, Adam Beard, the beard. I've just remembered it. If I'm wrong, and we know now after Saturday that James Ratty listens. Hi, James. Please come on. Thanks for saying hello to me and thanks for being nice. Um,
I have to say that is far, far cleaner than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
why? What did you think it was going to be?
Who knows with rugby players? I had no idea, but I was
You know
expecting
what?
something a bit more blue than that, maybe.
He was, yeah, no, it was good. That's what I heard anyway, but I am 47 and I am going slightly deaf. But no, it was really nice. I spoke to Ratty and Phil while I was at the bar, and it's really weird because I'd gone to the shop during half time and John bought me the new European shirt. And as I was coming out of the shop, Ratty was going past me that way and he smiled and he said hello. And I didn't know whether it was because I was with John and John is also in the Popo and knows all of James's like family and whatever. So I didn't know whether he recognised me for that. But actually, there was nothing to do with that. He recognised me from the pod. So when I spoke to him at the bar, I was like, oh, my family know your family, please, whatever. And just chatting away. He was getting drinks with Phil. And as I was paying for my drink, he went, oh, nice to see you again. And keep the good work up on the pod. Really positive. I'm enjoying it.
Oh,
And
wow.
this is where it might get rude. I went, God, really? You know who I am and you listen to the pod? And he went, yeah. And I went, what, really? You're not shitting me, you're not winding me up. Because I was genuinely no, like, okay. And he said, yeah, no, I commute back and forth from Cardiff and I listen to the pod. It's really good. It's really positive. So, James, if you want to come
Brilliant.
on, tell your uncle to hit up Gary Effin in the control room. You're welcome to come on.
Nice, nice.
We've made it.
Yeah.
That's
I'm there. Like,
it.
people are recognizing me. I don't know whether to be flattered by that or what. But as you say, let's move on to Mark's world famous URC roundup.
With a caveat this week, I'm afraid. My quest to watch all URC games this season has come to an end. I was beaten by time, by World Series baseball, by illness, by all sorts of things this weekend. So I have only managed to watch the four Welsh regions, but I will give you a recap of all the games anyway, just for the sake of the pod.
Did your sofa turn up though?
My sofa turned up. Watching rugby on that is far more pleasurable than watching it on the old sofa was. So
Winning at life, right
exactly,
there.
exactly. So next weekend, I'm not going to move off of the international series now for the next 4 weeks. New sofa sorted. But anyway, I will run through the matches anyway, starting on Friday night. Scarlet Zebra, Scarlet's 30, Zebra 8. Really stodgy first half. Scarlets couldn't break down Zebra at all, really, really, really tight sort of game. Zebra were well in it. Dogged defence by them. And then the Scarlets came out a different team second half. They had a bit of a rollicking. They were coming off two really good wins, and I'm sure Peel sort of drummed it into them that they needed to back that up with a third victory bonus point as well that they needed, and put on a really, really good second half performance. Their centre partnerships look tasty, don't they? I mean, Johnny Williams was on the bench, but then you had Max Page. Eddie James was outstanding, and we'll talk about him, I'm sure, in terms of Wales selection more over the next few weeks. But yeah, let's be fair, the Scarlets are playing good rugby.
Mm,
Probably the most consistent of the Welsh teams. If you look at the first block of games, that draw against Benetton in the first game, two really tight defeats, followed by three wins. They've had a really, really
mm,
positive start, as much as I hate to say it.
yeah,
They look a different proposition to last year, and
yeah.
yeah, look like a really good side, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that game for me solidified Tane Plumtree as probably a starter in my book.
Yeah, definitely.
Whether it's 6 or 8, I don't know. It's dependent probably on the fitness of Aaron Wainwright,
Yeah,
and some other factors as well. But I think he's earned a starting spot. He's got the quality, he's got the skill set. He's such a good ball handler. Just needs to obviously keep his discipline, in check. But that's something that comes with time. He is a youngster. And I think that hot-headedness is probably what makes him such a good asset as well at the same time. He's really eager, he's really keen. I like him a lot. Yeah, I think
yeah,
he's good. He's a tidy player.
yeah. I think he
You need
fits
a
that.
picture of him for Christmas as well.
No, there's no Scarlets going on my wall. Maybe when he signs for the Ospreys in a couple of years when his contract comes to an end.
I think he very much fits that Gatlin back row mold as well, doesn't he? Of a big six or a big eight. I suspect he wants him as a six if sort of Wainwright is fit, like he said. But he fits that mold definitely. So yeah, well done, Scarlets is a sentence I've never said in my life before, but there we go. Also on Friday night, Benetton Bulls. I said not a game that I saw. A bit of a snooze fest from what I can gather. Really poor quality game. Yeah, the Bulls have sort of stuttered their way through this European tour a little bit, haven't they? They played outstandingly in the first 20 minutes against us and put us to the sword. And then since then they've had two pretty ordinary performances, but at the end of the day they pulled out a win. Late try and touchline conversion to sneak a win to take home to South Africa with them to finish this block off. So
Mm,
yeah, they're not looking like world beaters away from home,
yeah.
certainly. But they'll still be in the mix, won't they, at the end of the season? But Benetton put up a fight by the sound of it as well.
It's really frustrating, isn't it? Because we could probably have beaten the Bulls team of the last couple of weeks, and they're one of the
Yeah,
two teams that we haven't beat in the URC era. So that would have been
exactly.
nice. But hey ho, next year, next year.
Yeah. On then to Saturday, Stormers 17, Glasgow 28. I didn't see this game. I'm sure you did, Sam, on Saturday at some point. Glasgow showing their champions pedigree, I'm going to say, in this one. Two late converted tries got them the win. They finished strong, just like they did the previous week against the Lions, I want to
That's
say, as
one.
well. Yeah.
That's the ones.
So yeah, I think the Glasgow are proving that they're not one-hit wonders. I think they're that's a big win for them away from home. I know the Stormers haven't been pulling up trees to start the season, but to go to the
They've had a
sorted.
successful block, haven't they?
They have,
Like
yeah,
Glasgow, they've really
absolutely.
Yeah.
capitalised on where they were at the end of, you know, last season. They're sitting there quite happily, just below Leinster
Hmm.
on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And big shout out to Peloto, who was handed the Scotland captaincy last
Yeah,
week. Yeah, well deserved. You've obviously got to give that to a player who's secure in their position. That's probably the reason why Jack didn't get it for Wales, because he's not secure in that open side position. So, yeah, Peloto's got that jersey nailed down, hasn't he? So, yeah, right choice.
definitely. Sharks 41, Munster 24. So little did we know watching the end of this game that it was going to be the end of Graham Rowntree, but
Mm.
that's what it's become. I mean, Munster scored two late tries in the last 10 minutes to make the score respectable. They were on the end of quite a hammering, prior to that. It's not normal to see Munster losing games heavily, is it really? Or to ship 40 odd points. We talked about their defence with Dara a few weeks ago, and he said sort of concerns that they were a bit leaky this season, and that's
yeah,
continued throughout really. And yeah, and Roundtree's sort of it's cost him his job, as we've heard today.
Mm.
Whether now is the opportunity to talk a little bit about the rumours that are going around. I say rumours. One man and his dog on Twitter
yeah,
turned around and said that Toby Booth is up for the job without any sources, without any, knowledge, I would imagine, or any other insight into it. But do we think that that's even a possibility, or even a remote possibility, or not?
no, no. There's a lot of shock on Twitter with the Munsters fans. A lot of them are not happy with what's happened, and you can read between the lines of mutual agreement about
Mm.
what's happened. Um, it's obviously an IRFU decision. I sometimes wish rugby would be a bit more like football and just say, look, we sacked him. That's that.
Yeah,
Like Ten Hag has gone with, Man United this week. I wish we'd be sometimes a bit more open. Um, I think it's a lot of hot air. I think the reality is the IRF, you want to bring in a an Irish coach to give them experience.
yeah.
He still had the fans. He still had the support of the fans. And it's a very odd decision to make when you've still got the support of the plans. Someone put something random on there that he'd lost the support of the players. But again, I'm not seeing anything on Twitter or anywhere else where I'm getting that feel of from the players.
Mm.
Again, a lot of speculation, but I can't see Toby making the jump to Ireland. I don't think they this sounds harsh. I don't think they'd want him. I think with Ireland they're very much concentrating on Irish pathways in coaching and players at the minute. So it would
Yeah.
be no benefit for them to bring someone in again from across the water. That's
No.
my two
Yeah.
pence on it.
I think the teams that are going to be eyeing up Toby are the ones that need him to do a job similar to what he's done at the Ospreys, isn't it? Is those maybe slightly underperforming teams or those teams with a bit of lack of identity, looking for a unifying sort of character to bring the team together and, steer them in a certain direction. I don't think Munster need that. They've got the systems, they've got the processes, they've got the structure underneath them. They just need um, somebody, I guess, who's going to just get the best out of those players that they've got there, that are a already established group. So yeah, yeah, it took me a bit by surprise, and then digging into it, there was nothing behind it, no evidence. It was just
No.
aligned timelines, which isn't
Yeah.
enough to make any kind of speculation, really. What I don't know is what if we're saying that they'd have a preference for emerging Irish coaches. I don't know who's out there on the market currently.
There has been a name
Also,
mentioned today. I can't remember who it was. No, there has been a name mentioned.
okay, so not one of the big names that we would necessarily recognize, like
Not I'd heard.
Rog or anyone like that.
No, 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 no,
No, no. Okay.
no, nobody like that. No.
Yeah, but I'm
Just,
sure
just to,
more will come out on it in the next few days and weeks, and maybe there'll be some juicy gossip behind his departure, hopefully, because it doesn't
just on
concern
an
us.
aside. Yeah, just on an aside to that, it was nice to hear Toby being a bit prickly about the criticism he took on Scrum 5 this week as well about his commitment to the project going forward,
Yeah,
knowing that he's going at the end of the season. He obviously didn't take kindly to those comments, and it was nice to hear him be angry about that, really, because he could have, just said, he could have said nothing, which would have just led to further sort of speculation
further
around.
fuel to the fire.
For him to actually step up and say, I'm committed until the end of the season unless something else comes up or whatever, sort of, yeah, I think that's the least you can expect from somebody of his character, really.
Yeah,
And the
yeah. I think
reality
stories
is,
like that are only going to drive the team closer together.
yeah, siege mentality. That's
Yeah.
what it is. And the reality is, funny enough, I I'm doing a leadership course in work, and we were talking about coaching today. And the reality is, you don't need to be a subject matter expert to be a coach, because that's not necessarily what a good coach is
Mm.
there for. And you take it, Toby's got people in roles underneath him, and you can see that, yeah, okay, he's played rugby, he knows rugby, he's gone through that coaching process. So it's great. You've got a player matter expert, but you've also got a brilliant coach who obviously knows how to psychologically
Mm.
build those players, because that's the whole point of a coach, is to develop talent, is to bring out the best in what you've got, to build resilience, but ultimately give independence. And perhaps this is the right time for him to walk away. He's got a very strong, resilient bunch of players who are quite independent and able to cut that tie. So whether we know who's taking the coaching job on, they're taking over a really strong team,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that's the bottom. That is the bottom line of any coach.
Yeah.
And Toby's not just coached rugby in the past, has he? He's done various other sports as well.
Yeah.
So it
Mm.
just goes to show that he's a good man manager rather than a technical
Yeah.
manager.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think we'll put those rumors to bed for now, and
Yeah,
probably just one of those things, like you said, to
non-story.
somebody, yeah, somebody gone, somebody available, somebody's put two and two together and thought, oh, that might work, but yeah, bit of a
No
nothing.
seven.
On to Leinster. Roddy said last week, just repeat the same comments every week. You might as well. Yeah, Leinster had a weakened team out this week. There are a few eyebrows raised about the team that they chose, but doesn't really matter, does it?
Didn't.
Lions were unbeaten as well, but never really threatened. They kept the game close. Took a penalty try to kind of seal the game, but
Mhm.
no bonus point for Leinster.
Hmm.
So they have one flaw on their copybook so far this season is they didn't get a bonus point in this game, so they're 1 point short of the maximum for the first block.
Wow. God,
So
that's a hell of a stat, isn't it? Oh,
It's
to be
phenomenal.
a Leinster fan.
um, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean the team they put out was obviously clear enough, good enough to beat the team second in the league,
Hmm.
yeah,
even with what could be argued was a second team at best, possibly even a few third stringers in there, possibly. And they're
yeah,
still strong enough to beat the team second in the league.
yeah.
So yeah, it just shows a discrepancy really in squad strength that we've known all season. And I'll keep on
Yeah.
banging on about every week in my Leinster reports probably.
Mm. And now they're the last unbeaten team in the URC, aren't they?
They are indeed, yeah, they are
Yeah.
indeed. Moving on to my favourite Irish team, Connacht, against the Dragons on Saturday. Yeah, really an odd game, really. I mean, Dragons had massive amount of possession, massive amount of territory, did very, very little with it, and Connacht win with a bonus point. It was, if you look at the stats of the game without the score, you would expect the Dragons to win that game.
Hmm.
But Connacht were just clinical when they had the chances. And the Dragons, Di was clearly frustrated after the game that they put themselves in good positions and just couldn't take them. And yeah, the Dragons, for all the fact that they've improved this season, they're still down where you'd expect them to be at the end of the first block.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, improvements on the pitch, but realistically, they're still the
Got
same
a way
place
to
as they
go.
were. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, Cardiff and Ulster, the ultimate game of two halves. So, I mean, Ulster had the game won after 20 minutes, 19-0 up after 23 minutes or whatever it was, and absolutely cruising. And then I still don't know how Cardiff won the game, to be honest. I mean, they only took them 20 odd minutes of the second half as well to score all their points. It was just a really
Yeah.
bizarre game. And yeah. what more can you say, really? It just shows that, I mean, I think from a Cardiff perspective, it shows a different mindset that they've got this year to last year. That's the game they would have lost last year,
Yeah.
definitely, and probably would have lost quite heavily as well. Like we said last week, I think they've got an ability this year that they didn't have to kind of dig in when the chips are down, and to pull that out of the fire was a big achievement for them. They're a big crowd there again, which I think helped to get them through the game as well. But
Mm.
yeah, really positive end to the block for Cardiff. I think if they'd lost that game, it would have been questionable whether it had been a positive first half, first block of the season for them. But I think with winning that game, it tips it over the balance that they can be happy with their first set of fixtures, I think.
Can I
Yeah.
say as well, well done to Cardiff because um, we know two of my favourite things in life are drag and rugby. And Mary's is like a drag cabaret club they've got one in Swansea and they've got one in Cardiff. And before the Cardiff game, or might have been after, I'm not quite sure, but it was definitely Saturday, they did drag rugby. So they had full on drag queens playing rugby, and I posted some TikToks to my Instagram. Ladies playing rugby in full on drag and heels. Go on, like that's banging. Um, and for me, that makes my little heart happy. I have a high number of gay friends. Um, and I absolutely adore that the sport that I love is becoming so inclusive. I never in a million years would have thought that I'd have seen full on dragged up drag queens playing rugby at Cardiff Farms Park. I love it. So bravo. Well done, Cardiff. Please do it again.
I
I
think they
just
were
think
inspired by Rod's AI mashups last week, I reckon.
Yeah.
I,
Did I
I
deliver
just,
some?
Rod, there are a couple of um, keys on my keyboard that do not work now because I opened it up thinking it would be quite innocuous and I clicked on play and I was drinking a cup of chai and it's quite sticky anyway. And I literally just went all over the place, all over my screen, all over my keyboard. So my keyboard is now, I'm an old-fashioned typer. I've been touch typing for best part of like 25, 26 years. So I've got a proper heavy, clacky mechanical keyboard, which is also very cool because it's got LED lights underneath and whatever. And I've now got several keys, which I've really got it to get it working. I just thought the Exmouth one was
It's
proper
great.
It was mad.
For
bang.
anyone who missed this last week, Sam challenged me to AI generate Eben Etzebeth and Faf as drag queens. So if you want to check that out, check us out on
Please do.
Instagram and TikTok at the Black Feather Pod. You can see it there. It's pretty eye-opening.
You see what
Exmouth is
happens when you
really
leave me and
pretty.
Sam to talk by ourselves? That's what
It
happens.
goes wrong. It goes
We
wrong.
end up with that.
Faf was not a good looking drag queen. Faf was
No,
really
no,
minging.
no,
Like, I'm
no.
really sorry, but Faf, you were ugly, mate. You were
It,
not a
it,
good looking woman.
it was reminiscent of the ugly stepsisters from the Shrek
Yeah,
films,
because it was the
working
hair.
behind the bar.
But you know what? Drag queens, and I made Amy a promise. I'm going to take Rod's girlfriend with me to see some drag. Drag queens traditionally block out their eyebrows with glue. They powder over them and then they draw their eyebrows on up here because men have got quite heavy set eyebrows. Um, and they even, like your AI, even got the eyebrow spot on up their heads. So I was like, oh my God, that's proper. Like going into girly territory now. I love makeup and it really annoys me when people are like, oh my God, Kardashians brought contour into the world. No, 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 they did not. Drag queens brought contour into the world because they shaped their face to make it look more
Ah,
feminine with the contouring. So Kardashians, no.
yeah.
RuPaul, Lady Bunny, these houses in New York. So I've taught you something about drag queens now. Rod, if you want to come and see drag with me, you're more than welcome. I've got my brother into it recently and he's really shocked himself by quite enjoying it,
If
which
there's a
as
Pint of Guinness on offer. I'm happy.
Honestly, some of these ladies are stunning, absolutely stunning. But please go check out the AI because if you love drag, you will absolutely love this AI. But
Or if you love rugby, it's funny either way.
it's funny, yeah. And make a Sapphire's day, upset them, talk about drag. Um, but we digress. But Cardiff game,
Yeah.
those buggers were like Lazarus. They came back from the dead. I was not expecting that. I was
No,
kind
not
of
at
keeping
all.
an eye on it, and I was like, what?
No, they were dead and buried after 23 minutes or whatever it was. It was done,
Yeah,
wasn't it? And
Yeah.
yeah,
And
fair
what
play.
was strange was Ulster scored. Did they score all their points
in the first one.
In the
when
first
they
20
were
minutes.
a man down and then didn't score?
Some of them were certainly, yeah. I think
Mm.
bulk
Yeah,
of them
maybe
were definitely,
two of
yeah.
their three were
Mm.
scored with a man down, and then they couldn't do it when they were playing against for yeah, anyway.
Yeah,
Um
bizarre.
but I think that was I think that was the third biggest comeback in URC history.
Mm.
So yeah, fair play to Cardiff. Small
Which just
clap.
Yeah.
brings us back round to our win against Edinburgh.
Mm, yeah.
And there we go. So
Good
yeah,
game.
I mean, we've talked about the atmosphere and everything at the game, but the game itself, I mean, it was exciting to an extent because it was close. It wasn't the highest skill levels on view this weekend
Frustrating.
or any other weekend for that matter, was it? But however, we talked about that we needed a performance, and we got that performance in terms of grit and determination. And we talked about needing a win to finish the block, which is the most important thing. And we ground out the win against a good Edinburgh team. They were, we were speculating last week about what their team might look like in terms of selection with, Scotland playing next weekend, 1 week ahead of Wales. It was that kind of 50-50, wasn't it? They were sort of, a few different names in, a few players coming off the bench rather than starting, but it was still a strong enough team to challenge, certainly. And yeah, I think the only shame was we couldn't quite squeak that bonus point try in the 7 odd minutes of
Oh, they tried.
time we ended up playing. They were determined
They
to go for that.
they shut down Duan big time.
Yeah,
To the
definitely.
point where when they saw Tavs and he was over my side of the field, he did not look happy. And do you know what? I loved our players were going, do one, do one, do one. And you could see he was getting aggy. He was really getting aggy. He wasn't looking happy. Referee wise, I've got an interesting stat about that. That was only the second game that this referee has had at this level.
Really?
I didn't recognize him, and if you don't recognize a ref when you watch as much rugby as we do, yeah, it sort of
Yeah,
it chimes funny, doesn't it? Yeah, I was like, I
yeah.
Oh,
do not
wow.
recognize him at all.
Okay.
Second game, he did
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Not the best referee in, but I liked the fact that he was willing to swivel and pivot and move around
Mm.
if somebody called to his attention that he made the wrong call. Do you know what's gripped me this week?
Well,
I love my fellow fans, but Jesus Christ, some of them are grumpy. You've had a win, for God's sake, celebrate the win. To the
Mhm.
point where Lance has actually come out on Twitter and tagged Toby Booth in and said, can we not just be happy with the win?
Yeah.
mhm,
And for me, don't care how we did it. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be dazzling. A win is a win, is a win, is a win, is
Yeah.
all day long.
mhm.
Definitely.
The
Yeah.
confidence boost that will give these players going into the next block is unreal. You know,
Mhm.
I don't want to be positive, Polly, over things that, yeah, there were things that weren't right. There were things that didn't go wrong. Some of the shit that Owen Watkins has had on Twitter and Facebook this week, give him a break. Who
Yeah.
else you gonna put in? Who else you got that can be there? All
Mhm.
right, some things went wrong, but you know what? Got the win, got the
Yeah.
Yeah.
points. We're not on the bottom of the table anymore.
Yeah.
Stop. We all need to be in the tent pissing out, not outside the tent pissing in. You can't support your team. What's the point?
But
Yeah.
there was definite positives compared to the last few weeks. Much
100%.
better start to the game mainly.
Yeah.
Um, in the last what 2 3 games even we've leaked a lot of
Mm.
points in that first 20 minutes, the first third maybe of the game, leaving us massive deficits just to come back from, which we're not the best at because we're not typically a high scoring, flair attacking team. So yeah, it was a much stronger start, which was pleasing. Still a bit concerned about the attack. I will be a little bit negative because we had high expectations coming into this season. When you look at the stats, considering that both territory and possession was 60+% in our favour, we only had 3 clean breaks and 4 offloads, which isn't a huge amount. It was, Edinburgh had equivalent with the opposite amount of possession and territory.
Yeah.
But no, it's nice to see Keelan back on the wing and Kasende getting a start
Yeah.
and looking feisty. Both of them look dangerous with the ball,
Yeah.
but they just weren't brought into the game enough. We're not
Yeah.
spreading it very wide at the moment, do we? And we're getting it
No.
through lots
Yeah.
of hands. We're making 3 passes before contact, but still taking it up in the middle channel.
I do wonder
And
whether we had a bit more of a conservative game plan. Maybe on Saturday it was more about the win
Get the
and
win.
yeah,
playing the Ospreys way from last season, trucking it up and keeping the game quite tight, kicking for possession, kicking for
yeah,
territory when we needed to. I think it
yeah,
was
yeah,
all about getting that win on Saturday. And like Sam said, whether it was pretty or not, I think
yeah,
that's a job for after the international break, maybe to try and, widen things in terms of tactics.
Yeah.
And I think it was
yeah.
back to, resorting to type a little bit on.
We did, didn't
Yeah.
we? We reverted to type. And God, I haven't heard the term "a win's a win" so much as this week before.
Mainly from
All
me.
over social media. We've said
Looking
it
at
about 4 times in this conversation.
But I don't
looking,
think what you've said is negative, Rod. I don't.
Hmm,
It's not negative. For me, if you are being constructive and you're not being personal, that's not negative.
mhm.
That's insightful.
Yeah.
What I've seen online is negative because it's not constructive. All you're saying, oh, we had a shit game. But why did we
Yeah.
have a shit game? What what do you think is, you've come at me now with stats, 3 hands before contact, blah, blah, blah. You've thought about it. I
Mm,
can I can have that discussion with you. What I can't deal with is, oh, we're just shit.
mhm.
Why? Why are we shit? Don't go shit overnight, and oh, again, could kill, mangle myself because I said to someone, class is permanent, form is temporary.
Mm,
Everybody will go through a period where their form dips.
Mhm.
That's life. That is human nature. That is, whatever. You can't just say someone's shit because they just having a dip in form.
mhm.
It happens. You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off,
Yeah.
you move on.
But there was
Um,
no shortage of class either. I mean, talking
no,
class, Jack Morgan, Jesus, he was phenomenal. Just all over the place. A one-man sort of wrecking machine. That hit he
Yeah.
put in on Doohan, phenomenal.
I
Yeah.
know,
Driving those legs, pushing him back,
I know.
made him look a bit silly. Yeah, Morgan Morris again, storming game. Derry Lake's carrying is just off the charts at the moment. He's
Who did you
he's
say? Sorry.
so dangerous.
Morgan Morris, Xavier Rush, you mean, don't you? Not Morgan Morris, sorry.
Is that nonsense in Wales Online today? My brother's on holiday in Tunisia, right? And he's seen that article and he's messaged me to say, even the Tunisians are raging about that. I'm like, what are you on about?
What was this? They called him Xavier Rush in the
That
Wales Online
They
article.
were trying
they
to basically
say
justify
why.
why he wasn't being picked for Wales, and they said, "Oh,
Uh,
he's a fantastic ball carrier. The player that I can compare." I can't remember who was doing the quotes now. It was
It was, I got it here, bear with. Yeah, they said that he's great in attack, but his defense is shit. And that's
honestly, he's
the
like Xavier
comparison.
Rush, almost saying that he's kind of a bit of a luxury player. That he's
Yeah.
fantastic carrying it forward, but his defense, like Xavier Rush, is a bit lacking or whatever.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I can't remember
Oh,
his defense ever
Richie,
being criticised.
that
No,
great big
no.
massive bait rugby brain, Richie Reese.
Was it Richie Reese? Was it? I thought it was
Yeah.
somebody from the sort of Scrum Five team, but yeah. So basically, he said, yeah, Xavier Rush would be the player that he compares him with the most,
Okay.
um, and making out that he can't defend, basically. But
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he say? Are you offering as much in attack as you are in defense? Are you having the same big impact? the best comparison I could give you with Morgan Morris is someone like Xavier Ash. He had no real interest in the defensive side of the game, so the attack was set up around that, and the defense was set up around that again. But he was one of the best in the world at attacking. It was easy for me playing behind Zavrash. What compromise is that? We know Rashi will do this, but we have to have someone like Molitika who can cover his work rate.
It's rubbish, isn't it?
You're talking
Yeah.
shit.
How can you possibly criticise Morgan Morris's work rate? Bloody hell.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I
mad, isn't
looked at some stats and I can't remember them off the top of my head, but Morgan Morris was as equally can't think of the word, but he was
Dominant.
equally dominant in attack as well as defence.
Mm.
Now, I don't know how much Richie Reese has watched the Ospreys, but he's obviously not watching to the same level as we are because we can't see the talent that is there. And for me, I know we talked about it last week, but he is the omission from the squad for me. You know, you've got Jack and Debbie, they're not the biggest lads, really. But they are still super effective in the positions that they play in. And I think Morgan Morris, if you give him the chance at that cap, he would wow you because he's got a lot to prove to show that he's worthy of that cap. And I just think it's an utter shame that he's not being given that opportunity. But what do I know?
Richard Reese has spoken, though, hasn't he? So that's that.
Yeah.
Just absolute. You know what? I would not believe Wales Online Rugby if it told me it was raining on the weather app. I wouldn't believe them if they told me it was Tuesday. Like, it's just some absolute nonsense on there. Like, behave yourselves. But anyway, now I've had my rant again. But yes, silly article, and it wasn't something that needed to be spoken about. Richie Reese didn't need to have an opinion. You know, only Gatlin knows why he's not picking him. We can all speculate at the end of the day. And we can all say that Gatlin's wrong, but only Gatlin knows that. But yeah, no, Saturday, win's a win.
Exactly.
Yeah. Off the bottom of the table and not the worst Welsh team in Wales. So,
Hey,
yeah, happy days.
you
It
know,
was looking a bit gloomy there for a moment, wasn't it?
And if you look at the fixtures we've got coming up, I think did I hear some stat that we've got 12 teams who finish below us now to play between now and the end of the season or something like that, whereas we've played more teams who finished top 8 last season than any other team so far this year or something like that. So,
Yes,
we've
yeah.
got plenty of time to pick up points and plenty of quality in the squad. But I think the rest of the season now will be dictated by availability and injury.
Yeah.
With the size of the squad, if keep everybody fit and everybody's available when we need them to be, we're in the hunt. If we pick up 2 injuries, that's probably that, isn't it? It's the same with all the Welsh regions at the end of the day. That's where we are, isn't it?
Yeah. And it was good that Sam Parry got that third try in the last 10 minutes there to deny Edinburgh that losing bonus point, because Edinburgh are the type of teams that we're going to be jostling with this year on the table. So any sort of points that we can detract from any other team is really helpful. Yeah.
Of course, next up we've got after the international break, we've got the Lions on the 8th of December, and then we've got Scarlets on the 21st of December with a cheeky little European game against Montpellier in the middle of that. I'm really hoping Santa does me a solid, guys, and gives me a win over the Scarlets, because I just could not bear that. Like, I'll probably be pretty good this year, I think. I don't think I've spent that much time on the naughty step. My mother might dispute that, to be fair. John might dispute that, but I think I've behaved well enough to get a win over the Scarlets.
Yeah.
That
I
could be
don't
that.
even I don't want to think about it yet, to be honest.
No.
I mean, maybe they'll suffer from having a few more players in the Welsh squad than us, and maybe that could benefit us when the games come around. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But overall, yes, there are things we could improve on.
Mm.
but we're happy with that last game on Saturday. Mark, you being a teacher, if you were writing a report card for the Ospreys, what would you put? Like, would it be like my school report could do better, C
You know, that's
plus?
that's
Is this
actually
for
what I've
the
got written down in my notes here. Could do better. I
so
think
this
we
is
all
for the whole
know
block, is it?
for the whole block, yeah.
For the whole
And
block.
we
Okay.
all know we can play better than we've played in this block of games. You know, certainly
Yeah,
as Rod said, starting games has been an issue up until this weekend. Um, yeah, I think there's room for improvement, certainly. Um, but we're still hanging on and we're sort of clinging on to where we need to be potentially. You know, okay, the win against the Dragons would have been nice to put us further towards that top eight. Um, but I think, you know, where we're finishing this block of six now, it could do better, but it could have been a lot worse as well, to be fair.
yeah, we've had some lows, but we've had some highs. Can't say H's like most Welsh people. We've had some highs. But from my point of view, very much could do better. You
Mm.
know, we've had some, stars of the week, so to speak, with performances like Jack on Saturday, very well deserved man of the match. So we've got a lot to be positive about off the back of this block. We knew it was going to be a tough block. We did. Um, we knew it would be hard with the injuries that we've got and going into international season. But perhaps Scotland's done us a favour by not picking so heavily from us. Gloucester, we can call them an official Welsh region now. Should we call them region number 5?
Why not?
Mm.
We could call them. They've got the same as us in there. Um, so yeah,
Mm.
Scarlets are again. I'd say, should we give them a B? Again, could do
Oh,
better.
push. B minus, maybe.
B minus, B
Yeah, let's be
minus.
harsh.
Is that like are ABCs and D's still a thing now, Rod? Because like you're younger than us, and Mark's a teacher. Someone said to me the other day that they had like a grade 5 or a grade 7, and I was like, what does that mean in the grand scheme of things?
I mean, it's been quite a while since I was in, school level education. At uni,
Shut
it's
up!
not,
It's been 10 years. Behave yourself.
and the rest. It's been a few more than that.
Grades,
Right?
grades in Wales still numbers
Actually,
and
no, you are right. My math is off
Yeah.
there. It has been about 10 years. It feels longer though.
Like I left school 30 odd years ago. None of
At,
this
at
year
uni, it
7
was
shit
all
when
percentages. It was
I
all
did go
out
to
of
uni.
100. Yeah.
yeah, exams in Wales are still ABC. In England, you get numbers instead.
Yeah, John was trying to explain to me about the Scottish school system because you've got highers and lowers and all this
Yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, world's gone mad. I'm sounding like somebody who votes reform now. The world's gone mad. Um,
I'm
but
same as you, Sam. Feeling positive. There were challenges. We had the injury crisis, like you said. Obviously, the news of Boothie, no matter what we were saying on the pod or people were saying online, it would have impacted things in the camp for a period, just settling into that news. The sort of mental stress of Wales selection, I'm sure that grates on players. So, yeah, there's been a few things, just sort of minor bumps in the road, but I think we've come out of it relatively unscathed. Like we were talking previously, we scored. We've got to come out with the same points against the opposition as we did last season, so we can't really complain. It was just a tough block. What
Mm.
I've really enjoyed is seeing some of the new signings this block, this first 6 or 7 games. Combia, amazing.
amazing.
Great to see him in an Ospreys jersey. Hope we can extend his contract. Obviously, Cassende got out for his first start last the weekend just gone. Great Banks looking like maybe a
Yeah,
bit of a
good signing.
prospect as well. It's still early, but yeah. So it's been nice to just get more familiar with some of those new faces and see what their sort of skill set is, what they can bring to the table.
Yeah.
Importantly, though, what is your selfie count at the end of this first block?
Oh, Jesus Christ, I don't know, actually. Oh, I got no
Keeping,
shame. Like,
keeping track of this. So
I even
Mine,
had like a Tupolotto, the other Tupolotto brother,
the other one.
the other one.
people ought to be the
Oh,
lesser.
do you know what, right? You were so lovely. His dad was there, and I was speaking to his dad, And like saying, "Oh my God, you must be so proud of your kids," and everything else. And he was so lovely. So then I asked for a selfie with him, and he went, "Oh, I'm really sorry, my face is really bad." And I was like, "Your face is beautiful. You just got a little bit of a cut there, like." And he was so lovely. But what I liked about him as well was he was quite. They're all really respectful now. As a woman, they kind of put their arm near you, but not on you.
Huh.
So it was kind of like you got your arm round, but it just hovers, and I really appreciate that as a lady. I think it's really nice and really respectful.
Mm.
What I liked about Edinburgh as well is all of them, apart from Duan, stayed afterwards and were having like selfies and signing balls for kids and stuff, which was lovely. The selfie count for me is. Phew, let's have a lucky loo, shall
Put
we?
you on the spot for a change now. It's usually you doing this to us,
It's
Sam.
usually me doing it to you, isn't it? And it's like, oh, I don't like this. Not that I'll know better, because I'll still put you on the spot with my randos. Like, not gonna lie. So we've got 1, 2.
I'm on a big fat zero to break the silence as Sam counts there.
Yeah, 3, 4.
Because I haven't been to any matches this season. I'm on zero surprisingly as well. So
I had an opportunity with Dan Casende when they were dishing out the jerseys that you get for referring a new member. I think it was during the Bulls game at the Liberty. They were handing out those
Yeah.
jerseys signed by Jack Morgan and Dewi Lake. Problem was, it was in the middle of play that they were handing them out, and he was sort of leaning over three people to give it to you. So I didn't want to disrupt everyone around me to try and get that selfie. But yeah,
8.
nice.
8 different players.
that's
Um,
over one per game. Then that's a pretty impressive record so
to
far.
be fair, my record's pretty good. So for me, if we were marking me, I'd go for an A. A minus.
Yeah, A might B plus maybe. I'm quite a tough.
Room for improvement. Room for improvement. Could be better
Yeah.
because I missed quite a few opportunities because John was saying to me, like Ratty waved goodbye to me as I was leaving, and they were all in the bank of players. And John was like, just go and ask and get in the middle and ask him if you can have a selfie with all of them. And I was a bit like, no. Um, but I should have done that. I should have been
Yeah.
a bit braver.
I've got a
Um,
challenge for you, Sam.
oh
Keith's
God, here we
dad.
go.
We were in Spoons before the game, weren't we? Having a pint.
Yeah.
We wandered over to the brewery, and you pointed out Keith's dad to me, and God, they look alike.
Aren't they the spitting image of each other?
Yeah, they do. They do.
So if we count Keith's
That's my
dad, then
challenge
it's
to you.
9. Like, do you mean it's 9? If I can
Yeah.
get a selfie with Keith and Keith's dad,
Yes. That's what
I'll,
I
I'll
want to
see
see.
what
Yeah,
I
that'd be a
can.
good one.
I'll
Yeah.
see what I can do. I will see what I can do. Um, Questions wise, we haven't had a lot this week. We had the question again about tight head, but forgive me if I'm not going to discuss that with you because I think we've discussed it pretty much every single episode, and I don't think our opinions have changed with regards to tight head. The other questions were like, do you seriously think Toby's going to go to Munster? And again, we've discussed that, and that was kind of the questions that we've had um, this week, and we haven't had a lot more. Oh, my poll! I put a poll up last week about vampires or werewolves, and it was 75% vampire, 25% werewolf. And it was only 25% werewolf because I pressed the vote button for werewolf.
I voted in it as well. I voted werewolf, so I'm in the
Like my fat
25% camp
fingers,
as well.
like, do you know what I mean? But it was really interesting to see people like voting because I genuinely did think that people would go more werewolf. I thought
That
I'd be in the
surprises me.
minority with
Yeah.
vampires.
Mm.
I genuinely did. I thought I would be like, way more better than that.
Yeah.
But talking of that, I've had a really busy weekend. Friday night, I went to see Troy Hawke, the comedian, in Cardiff. Honestly, if you don't know who he is, please go on TikTok. I have never laughed so much in my life. And I asked him a question about how many smoking jackets he has, and he took me off to a T with my accent. John was just like, oh my God, he sounds exactly like you. Saturday then obviously I had the rugby and stuff, and then Sunday night I went to the paint along lady and I painted a Highland cow. Um, so I've had quite a full on weekend. But while I was in the theatre, I saw um, a play for Dracula, which is probably where my love of vampires has come from. But I really love theatre. I love musical theatre. What's your random question of the week? What's your favourite thing you've seen in the theatre?
You go, Mark.
I'll go on this one. Can I count an outdoor venue on this one?
Absolutely. Anything that's like performance related
I'm
will
gonna
count.
go for I saw Tosca in the
Mm.
amphitheater in Verona,
Oh my God, that's
um,
amazing.
which was absolutely incredible. And I love opera. I was brought up musically
Me
by
too.
family and stuff or whatever. Tosca's one of my favorites anyway. And in an open air amphitheater, the Italians are brutal though because the main lead he lost his
Mm.
voice about halfway through.
Oh, they didn't give
And
forgiveness, did
and
they?
he decided he was going to try and battle through. The next aria he had, he croaked on one of his top notes, and they gave him so much crap. They were wolf whistling him, they were heckling him, they had absolutely no mercy whatsoever. You wouldn't dream about doing that in the theatre in this country, but the Italians were
No,
absolutely merciless with him. So yeah, but that was fantastic. I mean, I've seen a lot of musicals as well. Lion King was superb
love Lion
with the
King.
kids as well as fantastic experience with the kids.
Mm.
Yeah, but I think seeing Italian opera in an Italian amphitheater probably tops everything.
Oh, amazing. Puccini, Madame Butterfly is my favourite. If I ever feel like I'm a little bit sad and I need to have a cry and not one of life's natural criers, takes a lot to make me cry. So sometimes I've got to watch something or listen to something that's going to make me cry. And one of those things is Madame Butterfly by Puccini. That always makes me cry. And the other one is Les Mis.
Yeah.
Mm.
I I made John go to the pictures with me to see that, and he was like, "I'll go because it's Wolverine and Gladiator singing." Only a few of us in there. Got to the part where we're doing bring him home and stuff, and I literally just crying my eyes out. The woman next to me is crying. John's like, "What is wrong with you?" So those are the two things that I listen to um, if I want to cry. So I'm with you on the opera front. Rod, what about you?
I've seen a few things. I've seen Les Mis a couple of times and some banging songs in there. I do enjoy a bit of Les Mis. I haven't seen any of the on-screen adaptations, although there was a good series that came out a couple of years ago that
Yeah,
sort of told the story on BBC. That was quite good. So yeah, Les Mis is good. Seen Wicked. Haven't seen Lion King, although I'd like to see that. I did go with school. I think this was in year 7 or 8, with our sort of music class, to see the Lord of the Rings.
was
You
that
know,
any good?
my I don't remember a lot from it. It's like little glimpses here and there, but the impression I had was that it was good, but I wasn't, a theatre nous at that point. I was just enjoying there was lots of people on stilts dressed up as Ents. The stage had been made out to look like the inside of sort of
Yeah,
Fangorn Forest, so there was just these big roots creeping out from the stage. So the setting was great. I can't remember what story they told, whether they still told, the entirety of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, or whether they picked a snippet or did something creative and original with it. I'm not sure. But the setup was class. And as you know, I'm a massive Tolkien fan, so it's got to be that one for me, just for the costumes and the set.
amazing. I love a bit of theatre. It, I was gonna do musical theatre in uni before I fell down the law rabbit hole. Um, and I think for me, one of my earliest memories of going to the theatre, I was about 5 or 6. And Rod, if I say this to you, you're not going to understand. Peter Duncan from Blue Peter,
Blue Peter, yeah.
gymnast.
Yeah.
Um, they were touring with Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, which would get you cancelled now because basically 7 men go and kidnap 7 women from the nearest town and they get snowed in for the winter, a bit like the Sabine women. And he was on it. And there's a scene in Seven Brides, Seven Brothers where they're building a barn, and basically the brothers can all really dance. And they've got like 2 planks of wood, which are obviously very, very bouncy. And they do a whole dance routine on these planks of wood. And that, at the age of like 5 or 6, blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. I just was so, wow, this is like amazing. And then I kind of fell down a rabbit hole of 1940s, 1950s musicals, which are all really close to my heart. But my 2 favourite, most recent musicals. First one, Not Safe for Children, Book of Mormon, written by the South Park guys.
Yeah.
Oh, do not go to that if you're easily offended or do not like liberal use of the C word. That was absolutely amazing. And then I was really lucky I got to see Hamilton on Broadway and loved Hamilton. I'm seeing it again now in December when it comes to Cardiff. And that, I like rap music as a genre anyway. I know I don't like it, but I could probably do a lot of Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre if you ask me to nicely. But that as a musical, if you've got Disney Plus and you haven't seen it, watch it. It's so good, so good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that's kind of
I'm going to change
ones.
my answer.
Go on,
I was
then.
at the Edinburgh Fringe this year and I saw David O'Doherty, the tiny piano man. Do you know
Oh
him?
yeah,
The Northern Irish comedian who sits there with his tiny little keyboard and just does little jingles and little skits. Um, he's mine. He was proper funny.
and if you get the chance, look for MC Hammersmith. He's a comedian. He was at Fringe, and we saw him when he did a comedy night with Ignacio
I've
Lopez.
seen him,
Oh
not
my
live.
God, I've never laughed so much in all my life. He's literally the nerdiest, skinny little white guy ever with glasses. And he gets people to give him random words, and he will literally just riff and create a whole new rap off the back of that. And I love stuff like that. I really enjoy stuff like that. I think that's what attracted me to the Troy Hawk thing. One of his he's done one with the women's Welsh rugby union players greeting them. And that's fantastic. I'll share that to my Instagram stories later. But he did a Man City one. And Man City hired him to greet the players into training camp. And he didn't know what to say to Jack Grealish. Went, "Oh my, you've got the most symmetrical face I've ever seen." And if you watch the video on TikTok, you can see Jack Grealish does not know what symmetrical
What he's on
means.
about now.
But my favourite one was Erland Haaland coming on, and he just went, "Come on in, you great big Nordic meat shield, you." And Erland Haaland's like, who's that? Like, but that was my random question for the week. I was going to go spooky because it's Halloween, but then we kind of did spooky last week, so I thought I'd be a bit more cultured this
What's
week.
everyone's plans for Halloween? Any
Turning the lights off,
parties?
pretending I'm
Dressing
not
up?
in.
Yeah, my youngest is dressing up as a character from Jujutsu Kaisen, which is a manga
The
anime
anime.
thing. On Thursday because that's his big thing at the minute. And him and 2 mates are going around trick or treating around the estate. And then they're all coming for a sleepover on Thursday night.
Oh, it's half term, isn't it?
Which I'm not looking forward to, but and he doesn't listen to this at all, so he won't know that I'm not looking forward to his friends coming around. But they'll have a lovely time. They're all gonna have a Mackies and eat all their sweets and then throw up everywhere probably.
Bobbing for apples? Do kids do that and sort of
We've
stuff
done that. We've
anymore?
had we've had parties with apple bobbing and donuts on strings we did last year as well, but he's a bit too
Okay.
grown up for that now, to be honest. So
Yeah,
moving
no, they're
on.
probably not gonna. No, actually, I don't turn the lights off and hide. I've got a big Disney bowl thing that I fill with sweets and stuff. And I've dressed up before now to open the door. I've been Elsa and God knows what else. But no real plans. Thursday's a bit of a weird night, isn't it? So I'll just, any kids who kind of knock on, I'll give them a handful of sweets. To be honest, I'm probably a parent's worst nightmare because I give them like a proper handful of sweets. They're probably going to go on a sugar high and be like, but yeah, no real plans. You got any plans?
Me and Amy are going to go watch a horror film, nighttime viewing on Thursday on Halloween
Nice. What are you
itself.
going to
What are
watch?
you gonna say?
Smile 2. We watched the first one
Oh.
recently.
That freaks me
Oh,
out.
don't fancy
Yeah,
that. The
yeah,
psychological ones are the worst,
They're
aren't they?
they're good, but it
yeah.
freaks me out. I watched one the other day about called The Immaculate about a nun. Because in October I try and watch like a horror film every single day.
Mhm.
And I do the same then in December with Christmas films. And the Immaculate one um freaked me out. But the Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe playing an Italian priest. Russell Crowe's shit, but he's just so enjoyable to watch. He's doing a full-on Italian accent as well. It's like Russell Crowe, mate, what are you doing? That was quite enjoyable. But me and Rod saw each other before the game on Saturday, Mark, and we decided we're going to go on a Margam ghost walk in the
Ooh,
Mm.
dark
that
off
sounds
the
good.
back of his, werewolf thing.
Oh,
Last
see that werewolf that you saw
Yeah,
when you
call
were
it
5 years
therapy
old or whatever. Yeah.
the
or,
Beast of
or
Margam,
trauma, just trauma.
just
Oh,
add to his
brilliant.
childhood trauma. Do you know what I mean? Um, And the other big debate we have in our house is the Nightmare Before Christmas a Christmas film or is it a Halloween film?
It's an
I reckon
anytime film.
it's an
It's
anytime film,
superb.
isn't
It's
it?
an anytime film. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
superb.
I love it. What's
That's what
this?
Zach's watching on
This
Thursday.
I love it. And Coraline with the weird black
Yeah.
eye.
Yeah, yeah.
Great fan of Tim Burton. But another nice episode, guys. Really
Mm.
enjoyed. Um,
Have we got some
well,
rugby highlights from block one? Just trying to have a
um,
think myself now. Shall I kick things off with
go for it.
Tipperick's crossfield kick for that 50-22? Can't remember who it was against. Was it Stormers? No, because it wasn't at the brewery. Um, oh, I can't remember who against now, but he got a lovely 50-22 at one point to gain some territory when we were on the back foot. So yeah, I just love it when a forward, even if they are as skillful as Tipperick, pulls out, puts boot to ball. Yeah.
I liked Keelan's try last week.
Hmm. Yeah.
Really did. And a couple of tackles that Derry has put in have been absolutely outstanding because he's gone in, Bosch, gone down, and he's up. He's at it.
Hmm.
Well deserved captaincy for Wales. And I think he's really put a marker down in this block of proving that jersey and that captaincy is well deserved and is his. That's probably been my high point.
Yeah.
I think I'll go for the bonus point try against the Stormers in the 81st minute or whatever it
Hmm.
was. Just
Good
to
one.
be our first bonus point try of the season, first win of the season as well. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Well, my challenge to you, Rod, is do a highlights reel.
Oh, okay. I
Sam's
can look into
challenge
that.
this week, highlights reel. And
Hmm.
yeah,
The problem
we're
is
just
is
getting
getting the
challenges every week.
is getting the footage without breaching some
Yeah, the
copyright or
copyright. Yeah,
something.
Worry
yeah.
about the law.
Squidge has
Yeah.
fallen foul of this, isn't he? Where he's put photos and stills of matches up and he's had them taken down off
All
YouTube and
right,
stuff,
don't do
whatever.
that.
Yeah.
So
I'm
Yeah.
not
don't get
visiting.
us taken down or banned or
Not
anything.
visiting you in prison.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
three-strike system on YouTube, isn't it? So yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
let's
don't
not
do
waste a
that.
strike
Let's
on
not
that.
break the law.
Plus, I'm not competing with Squidge and Andrew Ford. I'll just go find one
Not
of
in a
Andrew Ford's.
competition with them. Um, what challenge can I set you then?
We can do some more Ospreys players in
Drag
drag.
queens.
I've already done Justin Tipurick. I think I
Oh
shared that.
please.
That one
Oh
was
my
quite
God.
good.
Share that
Has he
tomorrow.
got his blue scrum cap on?
Bum cap
No, I
on.
tried to do that, but I couldn't get it to understand what sort of a scrum cap was and how to build it in with the long hair. But he has got a big beard, so he looks like what was her name? Conchita.
Conchita
Um,
Wurst.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, maybe I'll do some more
Actually,
of those and share them.
We must be the rugby pod that talks about drag queens the most. I think we've definitely got that one down, haven't we?
Yeah, maybe
It's
we
me.
should.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. No, do you know what you need to do? You
What?
need to come up with your drag names. Mine would be, because I'm Welsh and I'm a female, I'll tell you offline because it's slightly rude. Slightly,
Do you
yeah,
do
there
that the
might be a.
same as your porn name?
Oh, I do. How do you work out
That's
your full name? Is it your
your
first?
first pet and your mother's maiden name?
Oh, I'd be Rocky Jackson then, which is quite cool.
I've got a really good one. I would be Bambi Blake.
Yes,
That's a good one, isn't
good.
Bambi Blake. Well,
Rob, you want
I'd
to
be.
share?
I grew up in a household with a million pets, so I can't even work out what my first pet was. Um, I don't know. It'd
Who's the
probably
one that
just be
comes
some
to mind first?
insignificant little hamster that I've long forgotten the name of. Let's go for my first cat. So I'd be Pebbles Davis.
Oh,
That's
nice.
quite good as well.
all right, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Pebbles. Oh, Pebbles. Um, but on that note, I
Yeah.
promise when we go into the next block, unless something really exciting happens in the drag world, so unless like somebody announces a rugby drag special, actually go online. Joe Marler did drag. Joe Marler did
Really?
it. And
Doesn't
yeah,
surprise me one
the
bit.
drag queen. I love the man.
We'll do our Christmas special in drag, Rod, shall we?
Are you committing to that?
You know what? Yeah, come on. I'll even fully drag myself up as well. I'll be a drag queen king. I'll have like a thing. Um, but again, another enjoyable pod. We're obviously going into international season now. Um, Nothing next week. But then we go into Fiji, then we're facing Australia, and then we're facing South Africa. Good season for Wales internationally would be wins against Fiji and Australia. I don't think there's any hope in hell we're going to beat South Africa, but I think good international window for Wales would be what meatloaf. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah.
What we reckoning? Do we think that is?
Yeah.
We did Australia a year ago in the Rugby World Cup. They're probably going to be hurt about that, but I think we could do it again.
I think it's stopping the losing streak first, isn't it? By beating Fiji in that first match.
Mhm.
If we lose, that's a complete disaster. But break the losing streak, and then, as you say, 2 out of 3 should be the target.
Yeah,
But in the first instance, it's just getting that first win off our backs.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. 1 out of 3, I won't be, too unhappy. Two out of
yeah.
three,
Can't be mad
great.
at that.
Well happy with that. Um, yeah, we'll see how it
See
goes.
how it goes.
Yeah.
So, if anybody wants to get their predictions in for the international window, send it across to us on Twitter, Instagram, or anything else. We are looking at doing some international specials. We know we've got our buddy Kirby down in South Africa, so we did say that we would get him
Mm.
back to have a little pre-SAFA chat. We can be impressed with my improved South African, pronunciation. I don't know any Fijians. I can't ask anybody to come on.
No, none of
Um, Actually, I do know Australians, but they're gay Australians who've never watched rugby in their life, so I don't think they're any good to us. Anybody know any Aussies who'd like to come on? Then, or if you're an Aussie and you're listening to this, send
Mm.
us in an application.
What we do is we have a few Welsh listeners out in Australia, so maybe that could be
Oh, that could
a
be.
nice
Amazing.
segment. And I know a couple of them have reached out to us on social media. So if you're
Yeah,
listening now, reach out
get in
again
touch,
because I won't be
guys.
able to find you again. Um, and let us know. Maybe we can
Get in
have a chat.
touch.
And then
Yeah.
for other, listeners, maybe have a think of what some fun segments we can do over this international window to try and sort of fill the time, and maybe we can do those for you. Maybe some
Challenge Rodri.
interesting, fun team selections, or whatever
Oh, we
interests you.
could have
Oh, here we go.
15s from different professions. So if you were doing a Hollywood 15, who would your Hollywood 15 be?
Mm. Maybe we could do some of those. I like those as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, I
Yeah.
like them.
Yeah.
As always, guys, it's been a pleasure. Australian listeners, get in touch. We would love to have you on. Obviously, we know about time differences, so we would be able to work around you as much as we can. Looking forward to the internationals. I point blank refuse to buy a ticket this year because I feel like the Welsh Rugby Union should have a mask on. Because quite frankly, they're robbing me. I saw an advert the other day for a debenture, and if I had £5,000, I would have bought it.
Mm.
All right, you've got to pay for your rugby ticket on top, but I could have been interested in the debenture. But get in touch. Rodwell's got our banner up with all our socials. Keep in contact with us on Instagram, Twitter. I think we've got a nice little community going on Twitter now, haven't we? And on Instagram. And we like having the little conversations back and forth. I know Nick Williams interacts quite a lot with us on their DAF, and various people copying us in. So get in contact. We love, well, you can see from this episode, we love talking nonsense, especially me. But thank you very much for sticking with us for Block 6. Thank you very much for listening. I know that our figures have gone up and up. Thank you to the players that have started following our Instagram. Thank you to the players who have listened to the pod. So it's just a great big thank you from us to you. We'll continue doing this as long as you continue listening. So have a lovely week, guys. Been a pleasure as always. And I'm going to have to think of some challenges this week now. And Rod, I'm going to stop picking on you. I might do a challenge for Mark next week.
I'm worried now. I'm on half term, so I've got a bit of time for a
You've got
challenge
time to do
as
it.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on then.
So happy Halloween, everyone. Have a good week. Bye.
Diolch pawb.
Ta-ra.